You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. And today, a Cherokee County judge sentences a Joplin man in a 2017 murder.
A first look outside from 7th Ranch Line at 7 a.m. on this Thursday shows a quiet start as the sun begins to rise. But with the good south wind in play, let's get ready for a mild afternoon. We'll start breaking down the forecast coming up.
Also, Joplin firefighter TJ Britton won his fight on Saturday night, but the best part came before he even entered the ring. To get to 3-0 in his pro career, all that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. A Cherokee County judge sentences the suspect in a 2017 murder. Wesley Smith will serve around 16 years in prison on charges of second-degree intentional murder and aggravated battery. He was originally charged with first-degree murder before a November plea deal. In 2017, Smith shot a 22-year-old Tyler Nelson multiple times on Nelson's front lawn. Yesterday, in McCurtain County, Oklahoma, 2 were pronounced dead after a fatal accident. Walter Frey, 79, of Idabel, Oklahoma, was pronounced dead after being transported to McCurtain County Memorial located in Idabel. Melinda Frey, 62, also from Idabel, was transported by Aerovac to Medical City Plano in Plano, Texas, where she was later pronounced dead. The other driver, Gary Dawson, 69, had no injuries whatsoever. The Missouri State Highway Patrol's Division of Drug and Crime is investigating an officer-involved shooting. It occurred on December 8th in Hickory County, Missouri. On Wednesday at approximately 9 a.m., Hickory County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to the report of a domestic disturbance in Hermitage, Missouri. A preliminary investigation revealed that while deputies were investigating the disturbance, a female armed with a knife attacked a resident of the property. A deputy fired his weapon, which struck the 42-year-old woman, in which she was fatally injured and was pronounced dead at the scene. A state court judge in Oklahoma has granted a temporary stay of execution for a death row inmate convicted of killing a security guard during a 2004 bank robbery in Tulsa. Pittsburgh County Associate District Judge Tim Mills issued the stay so that a competency hearing can be held for 60-year-old Wade Lay. After a hearing before Mills last week, the judge determined there was good reason to believe Lay is not competent to be executed. Lay's attorney, Sarah Jernigan, has said Lay has a decades-long history of severe mental illness, including schizophrenia and delusions. Some Miami, Oklahoma schools went into lockdown yesterday. Authorities tell us someone near one of the schools was shooting a gun. No one was hurt, and the suspect is in custody. Wilson, Nichols, and Miami Academy all went under shelter-in-place orders. COVID-19 cases are rising again across Missouri. Data posted on the state's COVID-19 dashboard showed 1,637 people hospitalized with the virus. By comparison, 951 were hospitalized a month ago. The number of intensive care unit patients has risen to 338, up from 228 on November 5th. Inpatient bed capacity is at 15% in the St. Louis region, 18% in Kansas City, and just 12% in northwestern Missouri. If you're still looking for a gift for a kid in your life, Pitsco in Pittsburgh is trying to help. The company released a holiday gift guide for educators and decided to open it up to families as well. The gifts they are offering are educational and focused on STEM learning.
And coding languages can be scary, but with Bluebot it teaches the foundations of how to think like a coder. And really, it teaches you to think about sequential steps, recognizing patterns, understanding directions, and really getting that foundational knowledge of computational thinking.
Pitsco offers gifts for kids from pre-K through high school. A Miami, Oklahoma high school mascot will no longer hide her face under a bulldog mask. And you could see it featured in major publications. Anna Maria Thomas yesterday signed a contract with a top New York modeling agency, Elite Model. She was discovered at a beauty pageant in Orlando last month.
It's always been a dream of mine, but it's something I've never pursued because it's something that you never think is really going to happen. You know, it's like the 1 in 1 million chance. But I've thought about it since I was a kid. I mean, that's kind of what every girl wants to do.
Elite's models have been featured on the cover of Vogue and Elle magazines. Google has released this year in search lists for 2021. In 2020, coronavirus predictably topped the trending search list globally and dominated much of the U.S. list. This year, the top trending global searches focused on sports, with sports searches making up 8 of the top 10. World Cup cricket matches ruled the list. The NBA ranked number 4 and topped the U.S. list. The late rapper DMX and the Korean Netflix show Squid Game also made the global and U.S. lists. In the U.S., politics and finance also made the top 10. They included the Georgia Senate race, which decided control of the Senate and government stimulus payments.
See, I can understand the search results like the Squid Games topping the list, but I never thought cricket would be tops for the world.
I guess that's what people are searching.
That's amazing. Well, thankfully, people don't have to do a lot of searching for weather happening in our neck of the woods. They can just turn right here because we definitely have the scoop of what's going on as we get this Thursday underway. We have an upper level wave, another one that was sitting over Utah the other day. Now it's passing to the north. That's what brought in a lot of cloud cover late last night and to get this early morning started. But we're starting to see some of that cloud cover break apart now, even as a warm front that'll quickly dissipate once it passes to our northeast. But that is making sure that our southerly breeze stays in place and kind of up there as we get the rest of the morning underway. You can see how we had a lot of cloud cover during the overnight, maybe a couple sprinkles in a few spots, but now we're starting to see the clouds kind of break apart with not a lot to show in terms of the radar. So we're all dry to start this morning out. Skies certainly brightening up from 7th and range line, but we're at 53 already in Joplin with that south wind at 21, gusting near 31 degrees. So that is certainly going to do wonders in terms of temperatures as we go through the afternoon. Some upper 40s still on the board across southeastern. How about southeastern Kansas? There we go. Upper 40s for Yates Center, LSU Newton, Fredonia. Everybody else is in the lower 50s right now. But again, we were actually sitting in the mid to upper 40s around midnight. The numbers have just been rising with that southerly wind cranking into gear at 10 to 20. Gusts at times pushing near 30 miles per hour. Whoop, didn't mean to jump ahead on the graphics there, but I definitely wanted to show you these numbers. Compared to the average high of 49, we're going to easily trounce that number today. In fact, we're doing it already, but we'll go to 62 by noon. Joplin will top out this afternoon at 67 degrees for afternoon highs. And that's the same rule of thumb that applies to the entire region. We'll be in the lower 60s by lunchtime, 67 degrees with partly, if not mostly, sunny skies this afternoon. But as we head toward tonight and into Friday morning, increasing clouds means temperatures will only bottom out in the lower 50s as oh my goodness. I'm thinking upper 40s. That's what I'm thinking as we get Friday morning started. We are going to see another mild day on Friday, but that will be ahead of an approaching cold front. That is going to be eager to fire off some scattered showers and even a couple of thunderstorms, certainly as we go into the afternoon. But 67 today, 72 ahead of that approaching cold front on Friday. We'll go 50 on Saturday, 57 on Sunday. So we unfortunately have to trend cooler as we go through the rest of the weekend, Bronte. But once we get on the backside of the front, we are going to see partly to mostly sunny skies and plenty of dry weather for Saturday and Sunday.
All right, Nick, thank you.
You're welcome.
Up next, programs are now popping up to help patients suffering with long-term COVID receive the comprehensive treatment they need. And later, jury deliberations begin in the trial of Jussie Smollett. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. The U.S. passed a key milestone in its vaccination effort, but health experts say there's still more work to be done to protect Americans against COVID-19. A handful of states are current hotspots for the virus, largely affecting the unvaccinated. CBS's Laura Podesta has details.
More than 200 million, or just over 60% of Americans, are now fully vaccinated against COVID-19.
It feels good to be safer.
Many are now getting their booster shot, a key defense against the Omicron variant.
At first we were skeptical about do we need it or not, but once we heard there was another variant out there, there's no taking chances.
Pfizer says its additional shot increases protection 25-fold against Omicron.
That will induce immunity that is likely to protect from infection, symptomatic illness, and severe disease.
Only about a quarter of eligible Americans have had a booster. Meanwhile, COVID hospitalizations jumped nearly 30% in the past month, driven by the Delta variant.
Unless we really double down on what we're doing, we could see an increased spike that goes even higher than that as we get deeper into December and January.
4 states, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, are responsible for around half of the increase in hospitalizations. Michigan hit a record number this week.
Nearly all who are on the intensive care unit are unvaccinated, especially those who have a tube down their throat or are intubated.
A new report by the Nuclear Threat Initiative and Johns Hopkins University found the world is dangerously unprepared for future pandemics. The U.S.'s score was hurt by a lack of public trust in government. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The findings are no better than when the first version of the report was released in 2019, just a few months before COVID-19 was detected. With more and more people suffering with long-term COVID, programs are now popping up to help. Patients receive the comprehensive treatment they need. Dr. Malika Marshall reports.
Didn't really understand.
In March 2020, 47-year-old Phil Bezeski developed fever, a cough, and trouble breathing. When the 47-year-old father of 4 went to the hospital, the doctor didn't mince words.
He said, "You're really sick, and if we don't put you on life support, you're going to die."
Phil had COVID-19, was in pulmonary failure, and given a 10% chance to live. He spent 28 days in the hospital, 16 of them in a coma.
From when I woke up till the day I left, it was a struggle to even just use my hands to feed myself.
More than a year later, Phil still suffers from nerve pain, weakness, fatigue, shortness of breath, anxiety, depression, and brain fog.
It's another pandemic, and it threatens the health of a generation.
Dr. Bruce Levy at Brigham and Women's Hospital says up to 30% of patients with COVID, many with only mild illness, have at least one symptom that persists for 3 to 6 months or more, a condition referred to as long COVID.
Long COVID involves multiple parts of the body, multiple symptoms. And so going to any one doctor is a real challenge to comprehensively evaluate this.
That's why the hospital established a COVID recovery center where patients have their lingering symptoms addressed all in one place.
They get an itinerary for any doctors or other healthcare providers they'll be seeing.
Phil has been coming to the center for a few months.
It's provided me with some hope for the future that, this is what I've been longing for from services, to have someone that really can understand COVID.
He hopes more long COVID patients can also find the help they need. Dr. Malika Marshall, CBS News, Boston.
Other hospitals around the country are also implementing programs for people with long COVID. If you're suffering from lingering COVID symptoms, ask your doctor about programs near you. For the first time, Pantone has mixed up a brand new hue for its color of the year. The official color of 2022 is called Very Peri, a dynamic periwinkle blue with a violet red undertone. You'll start seeing it in a range of Microsoft apps like PowerPoint, Teams, Windows, and in digital screensavers since the year 2000. Pantone's team of design experts study trends in art and fashion to select a color that highlights top global trends. Very Peri is a color they say that symbolizes the future with a nod towards innovation and change. It's also a welcome departure from peak pandemic year 2021, which featured a considerably more drab ultimate gray.
I never knew they issued the color of the year officially. Personally, I would just stick with blue. Is that a color that suits you, Bronte?
I love blue. I mean, my eyes are blue. It's one of my favorite colors.
So I take it that's one of your favorites as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks good on me.
Yeah, but I got to admit that that Pantone color there certainly doesn't look bad.
No, I mean, that's pretty cool aesthetic to me.
Yeah, and on the plus side too, our weather setup doesn't look bad either, even though we had to start things off with quite a bit of cloud cover this morning, all because of an upper level wave that Doug was tracking the other night as it was coming out of the Rockies. It's passing to the north, but close enough that we had, again, mainly a lot of clouds to start this morning out. At the surface, we got another quick warm front passing through. That's just making sure that our southerly wind, certainly in action this morning, stays in place, locked in to really warm things up again as we go throughout the course of the day. But again, we had to start the morning out with some clouds overnight, but now we're starting to see some of that cloud cover already try to break apart. And I gotta say, it's certainly adding a nice contrast to the sky that we're seeing at 7th and Rangeline from the east side of Joplin. But at 7:16, we're sitting at 53 with the south wind at 21, gusts near 31. So even this morning, that breeze is up there and in action. We can see areas north and west of Pittsburgh and Joplin trying to hold on to some upper 40s, especially from Chanute and Iowa points west. Everyone else, though, is in the lower 50s to start this morning out. But as long as that southerly breeze remains in action throughout the day, as the kiddos head off to school, they'll have to encounter temperatures around 53. But if that's light jacket worthy, they can ditch it for the head home, or the drive home rather, with temperatures topping out around 67 degrees this afternoon. In fact, everyone's going to hit that number or come very close to it as we go through the afternoon. That's after we get the last of the cloud cover out of here, at least the mostly cloudy skies. We'll go partly sunny this afternoon, lower 60s by lunchtime. Everybody will top out around 67 degrees this afternoon. Then another cold front from the northwest will head our way on Friday. Ahead of it, we'll have highs around 72, but we'll see more cloud cover back in play and a chance for scattered showers and storms during the day. It clears out for Saturday and Sunday, but while we dry out, we're also going to cool down quite a bit. 50 on Saturday, 57 on Sunday. We're back with the KOAM Morning News and Fox 14 on the other side. In the trial of Jussie Smollett, the jury has already begun deliberations following closing arguments yesterday in Chicago. Fox News correspondent Matt Finn has the latest.
Jussie Smollett has only one hope. He's looking for one juror to nullify the verdict.
The trial portion of Jussie Smollett wrapping up today as both sides present their closing arguments. Special prosecutor Dan Webb saying Smollett lacks any credibility, accusing the former Empire actor of lying to jurors, saying surveillance video from before the alleged attack contradicts Smollett's own testimony. Smollett stands accused of staging a hate crime on himself back in January 2019, telling police someone put a noose around his neck and yelled racist and homophobic slurs against him.
You want to take it off or anything? Yeah, I do. I just want to see it.
Smollett taking the stand in his own defense this week, repeatedly maintaining that he is innocent and a victim. Meanwhile, the Osundaro brothers testifying that it was Smollett who paid them $3,500 to carry out the attack, Smollett calling them liars, and his lawyers saying in his closing statement that prosecution's case is built like a house of cards.
He's maintained throughout that he had nothing to do with it, and that didn't change.
Smollett is charged with 6 felony counts of disorderly conduct for lying to police. Prosecutors say his lies cost the Chicago Police Department an enormous amount of time and resources. Smollett's family and friends by his side every day in court, speaking out in his defense.
Jussie is the victim of a ruthless character assassination. This has been a devastating ordeal for all of us.
If convicted, Smollett faces up to 3 years in prison, but probation is also a possibility. In Chicago, Matt Finn, Fox News.
Another quick commercial break, then we'll be back with our today's 4-State Hero. Stick with us.
It's time to honor today's 4-State Hero. Specialist Clayton Adams, the Seneca, Missouri native, served in the U.S. Army. We thank you, Specialist Clayton Adams, today's 4-State Hero. Joplin firefighter TJ Britton was in the ring on Saturday night at the Buffalo Run Casino. He won his fight to get to 3-0 in his pro career. But the best part of the night for Britton came before he even walked out to head to the ring.
TJ Britton enjoyed a special night Saturday night, earning a first-round knockout in his third pro boxing fight.
We had a game plan. It was being well-rounded and then attacking, and I feel like we did that. I was in tune with my coaches and executed very well, and, you know, good night for us.
While he got the ending that he wanted, the best part of the night for Britton came before he even stepped foot in the ring.
Through the lowest of nights, and I'm no longer a dead man.
Britton's daughter, Kyrie, just 2 months removed from major lung surgery, sang his walkout song before he came to the ring.
Man, that night was very special for me. It was my dad's birthday. My dad passed away some years ago, and my daughter wanted to do something to honor him. She wanted to do sing when I come out.
Everything with breath, sing praises.
It kind of had me and Ryan, we probably come back there in tears a little bit before we came out, but just to know her story, you know, she's the one that lung collapsed right before my brother passed away, and then her lung collapsed again, so that song meant more to us than people know.
And I've been healed by those nailed hands.
She's been healed by those nailed hands, and God truly did heal her, man. I mean, it didn't look good. But for her to be in the hospital having a major surgery to now playing seventh grade basketball and come to my fights and singing, it was an emotional night for me.
Britton went out and finished his fight in the first round to get to 3-0 in his pro career. As for what's next,
I fought Saturday night. Monday morning, we're back in the gym, me and Jesse, 5 a.m. We're going to stay in the lab, man, and we're going to be ready for whatever comes our way. And I just got a feeling it's a big opportunity to come our way around February, so I won't say too much.
Another half hour of news and weather just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, a pair of Academy Award winners brings the life of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz to the big and small screen. And many people will do their shopping online this December, but beware, package thieves may be looking to take advantage of the increase in deliveries. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A Cherokee County judge sentences the suspect in a 2017 murder. Wesley Smith will serve around 16 years in prison on charges of second-degree intentional murder and aggravated battery. He was originally charged with first-degree murder before a November plea deal. In 2017, Smith shot 22-year-old Tyler Nelson multiple times on Nelson's front lawn. Cherokee County, Kansas has to amend 20,000 property tax forms after discovering that people were taxed more than they were supposed to be. County officials met last night to go over the situation. In last night's meeting, they focused on how the mistake will affect the mill leaves for the school district. They've been contacting superintendents to brief them on the issue. The county says they'll be updating the community as they learn more. Yesterday in McCurtain County, Oklahoma, 2 were pronounced dead after a fatal accident. Walter Frey, 79, of Idabel, Oklahoma, was pronounced dead after being transported to McCurtain County Memorial, located in Idabel. Melinda Frey, 62, also from Idabel, was transported by air evac to Medical City Plano in Plano, Texas, where she was later pronounced dead. The other driver, Gary Dawson, 69, had no injuries whatsoever. A state court judge in Oklahoma has granted a temporary stay of execution for death row inmate convicted of killing a security guard during a 2004 bank robbery in Tulsa. Pittsburgh County Associate District Judge Tim Mills issued the stay so that a competency hearing can be held for 60-year-old Wade Lay. After a hearing before Mills last week, the judge determined there was good reason to believe Lay is not competent to be executed. Lay's attorney, Sarah Jernigan, has said Lay has a decades-long history of severe mental illness, including schizophrenia and delusions. Some Miami, Oklahoma schools went into lockdown yesterday. Authorities tell us someone near one of the schools was shooting a gun. No one was hurt and the suspect is in custody. Wilson, Nichols, and Miami Academy all went under shelter-in-place orders. The Missouri State Highway Patrol's Division of Drug and Crime is investigating an officer-involved shooting. It occurred on December 8th in Hickory County, Missouri. On Wednesday at approximately 9 a.m., Hickory County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to the report of a domestic disturbance in Hermitage, Missouri. A preliminary investigation revealed that while deputies were investigating the disturbance, a female armed with a knife attacked a residence of the property. A deputy fired his weapon, which struck the 42-year-old woman, in which she was fatally injured and was pronounced dead at the scene. COVID-19 cases are rising again across Missouri. Data posted on the state's COVID-19 dashboard showed 1,637 people hospitalized with the virus. By comparison, 951 were hospitalized a month ago. The number of intensive care unit patients has risen to 338, up from 228 on November 5th. Inpatient bed capacity is at 15% in the St. Louis region, 18% in Kansas City, and just 2% in northwestern Missouri. If you're still looking for a gift for a kid in your life, Pittsco in Pittsburgh is trying to help. The company released a holiday gift guide for educators and decided to open it up to families as well. The gifts they're offering are educational and focus on STEM learning.
And coding languages can be scary, but with Bluebot it teaches the foundations of how to think like a coder. And really, it teaches you to think about sequential steps, recognizing patterns, understanding directions, and really getting that foundational knowledge of computational thinking.
Pittsco offers gifts for kids from pre-K through high school. A Miami, Oklahoma high school mascot will no longer hide her face under a bulldog mask, and you could see it featured in major publications. Anna Maria Thomas yesterday signed a contract with a top New York modeling agency, Elite Model. She was discovered at a beauty pageant in Orlando last month.
It's always been a dream of mine, but it's something I've never pursued because it's something that you never think is really going to happen. You know, it's like the 1 in 1 million chance. But I've thought about it since I was a kid. I mean, that's kind of what every girl wants to do.
Elite's models have been featured on the cover of Vogue and Elle magazines. Sydney lit up with Christmas light installations across the city center, encouraging residents to get out and enjoy the festive season after a year that saw an extended coronavirus lockdown across the city. St. Mary's Cathedral in the heart of Sydney is bathed in a visual light display highlighting the meaning of Christmas with scenes of an angel, Mary and Joseph, and the 3 wise men riding camels. Shoppers browsed stores in Pitt Street Mall under the canopy of lights, as others walked through a candy cane-inspired light installation in Darling Harbour Precinct. The tallest Christmas tree in New South Wales state stood in Martin Place, decorated with more than 110,000 LED lights and 330 baubles as Christmas carols flooded the square and added to the joyous spirit of the season.
I gotta say, Bronte, I've dealt with carrying the Christmas tree out from the basement when I was living back home. Hopefully didn't run into any broken or random out bulbs while they tried to put the tree up.
Yeah, I can only imagine it to that magnitude.
Yeah, it's just I'm thinking that might be the worst issue that they had to deal with compared to hopefully they have enough money to cover the electric bill for all those lights that they're lighting up.
Right, I really hope so.
Yeah, in the meantime though, back in our neck of the woods across the lower 48, we still are keeping an eye on kind of an active upper level setup. We have yet another upper level wave that was sitting on top of Utah the other day. Now it's passing just to the north, but close enough that it got us a lot of cloud cover to start this morning out. At the surface, we've got another quick warm front passing through, but that's definitely making sure that our south wind that cranked into gear during the overnight stays in place. And that is certainly going to help us out with temperatures as we get the last of the mostly cloudy skies almost out of the picture. In fact, you can even argue mostly sunny skies as the sun continues to brighten things up at 7:37 on this Thursday morning. 53 in Joplin right now, but look at that south wind at 21 miles per hour and gusts pushing near 31 miles per hour. That means everybody, whether you're in the upper 40s, especially in our northwestern counties, to about lower to middle 50s elsewhere, that south wind and more sunshine today is going to really do the trick in terms of warming things up. So any kiddos still watching us before they head to the bus stop, you might need a light jacket as most of us sit around 53. But as you head home, look at that number, 67 degrees, numbers that we should not see for early December, but that number doesn't apply just to the kids, it's for us adults as well, and all across the region as well. In fact, partly to mostly sunny skies for the afternoon ahead will get us into the lower 60s by lunchtime and push us into the upper 60s, most of us around 67 as we head toward this afternoon. Then as we head into tonight, we're quiet, but we're going to see more cloud cover build back up as we go into our Friday morning. That is ahead of our next cold front on the way in, which could bring us definitely a round of scattered showers, even a couple of thunderstorms during the afternoon and into the evening. Before that front clears out though and works on through rather, we'll have highs topping out around 72. A mild start to the weekend, but Saturday and Sunday we're on the backside of that system, and while we do dry out, we're going to go back into the chill with highs around 50 on Saturday and 57 on Sunday. More of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 when we come back. This morning, we are talking about Hollywood musicals, certainly apropos since Oscar-winning director Steven Spielberg is ready to bring his version of the classic musical West Side Story to the big screen starting tomorrow. Now, the beloved original back in '61 won 10 Academy Awards, but critics are already talking about the Oscars potential for this remake. But Oscar pressure aside, Hollywood has a long and celebrated history of big screen musicals, going all the way back to The Jazz Singer in 1927, and even as recently as La La Land, another award-winning film back in 2016, I believe that it was. But we want to throw the question to you. What's your favorite Hollywood musical? We have a good selection of 6 you can see down below, but with the latest results that I see, West Side Story has the majority so far at 31%, but it's finally nice to see Chicago, one of my favorites, sitting at 10%. We got La La Land chiming in, though, at kind of a measly 3%, but it's understandable that West Side Story is a classic, so no surprise that's getting the majority of the votes. You can still chime in by logging in and voting at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can vote using the KOAM News Now app for iOS and Android, and we have a pin on our Facebook page as well. You can chime in with your favorites on there and maybe some of your favorites that we haven't covered here. But sticking with Hollywood, though, we've got 3 Oscar winners and a Tony winner teaming up to portray the stars of I Love Lucy in a new movie. And the film's writer and director, he's an Oscar winner too. David Daniel talked with them all about the upcoming movie.
Let's do our show.
I get paid a fortune to do exactly what I love doing.
They got their money's worth.
Being the Ricardos stars Nicole Kidman as Lucille Ball and Javier Bardem as Desi Arnaz.
She was a genius. She was a comedic genius.
You think we're saying Ricky's stupid?
I think you're saying the audience is. And that's something for which they won't soon forgive you.
You charge for these lessons?
A ton.
I love the energy of his. It's an energy that it's really very unique. It's very commanding, very charming.
Nina Arianda and J.K. Simmons play Vivian Vance and William Frawley, I Love Lucy's Ethel and Fred Mertz.
It is almost like you're watching choreography, and it's almost like you're listening to music. And that's why it's timeless, and you don't even have to understand what they're saying to understand what's happening.
Desi Arnaz was a very, very smart, savvy businessman, as was Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball's a threat to the American way of life?
Does the FBI have any case against Lucy?
Writer-director Aaron Sorkin's film packs 3 huge events in Lucy and Desi's lives into one tense week.
Lucy being accused of being a communist, Lucy being pregnant at a time when a woman couldn't be pregnant on television, and Desi showing up on the cover of a tabloid.
This is getting out of hand.
Madness.
Have you been cheating on me?
The story's made up.
If they boo me?
If they boo you, we're done.
As Aaron says, people may not want to see behind the curtain, but behind the curtain's fascinating.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
It certainly does look fascinating. And if it's fascinating to you, Being the Ricardos will open in theaters this Friday, and it'll debut on Amazon Prime Video on December 21st. We're back after the break.
The holiday shopping season is in full swing, and with many people doing most of their shopping online this December, package thieves may be looking to take advantage of the increase in deliveries. Jen Sullivan has 5 tips to protect your deliveries from porch pirates.
'Tis the season. As holiday gift packages are being delivered to homes across the country, experts warn porch pirates are busy this time of year.
People are just grabbing anything. So sometimes you might just have socks coming and think, why would somebody steal that? They're not stealing socks, they're stealing whatever's in that package.
A survey from the National Retail Federation finds consumers have a strong preference for online shopping, with 57% of them stating they plan to buy gifts online this season. And all those deliveries make a tempting target for thieves. Security expert Douglas Parisi says these 5 steps could help ensure packages on your doorstep don't get stolen.
There's a lot of things that we can do to be proactive that don't cost a lot of money.
Number 1, keep your packages out of sight, which brings us to number 2. Update the delivery instructions and choose a drop-off location other than the front porch, like the backyard or side door.
Sometimes just have a trash can on the side of a house or something like that and indicate there's a red trash can or there's a red bin over there.
Number 3, have it delivered to a neighbor's house if they'll be home when the packages arrive, or have it delivered to work. Number 4, put up a sign.
But when they walk up there and all of a sudden they see a sign that says smile on camera, even if you don't have a camera, they're still going to pause and probably walk the other way.
And finally, track your package and turn on delivery notifications. For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Meanwhile, the Better Business Bureau recommends you ship packages to the store. Many retailers will ship gifts to a physical location near your home instead. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
A 45-year-old cold case has finally been solved. Kyle Clinkscales left to go back to Auburn in January of 1976, but he never made it there. Iani Hughes has the latest on this cold case.
For 45 years, we have searched for Kyle in his car. We have followed hundreds of leads and never really had anything substantial develop from those leads.
Until now, Troup County Sheriff James Woodruff announcing major developments in the nearly 46-year-old case of missing Auburn student Kyle Clinkscales. In January of 1976, he left LaGrange headed to Auburn in his 74 Ford Pinto, but never made it.
It was here at this creek in Chambers County, Alabama, where investigators just got the break in this case when part of the car was sticking out of the water.
Someone called 911 Tuesday to report it. The creek runs under County Road 83, a few miles off of I-85. How it ended up here is still unclear. Investigators found the hatchback up, sticking out of the water. They discovered it was Clinkscales and towed it to the Troup County Sheriff's Office. That's where investigators found his wallet containing his ID and credit cards. And also in the muddy car, what are believed to be human bones.
I want to see what the GBI finds in the car. You know, how many bones they find. Do they find a skull? Is there something that we can take to the crime lab and determine if there was foul play? Was he murdered and left there? Did he run off the road and wreck there?
Sheriff Woodruff says they may never know what exactly happened to Kyle Clinkscales. While he is breathing a sigh of relief, he wishes this was an update he could share with the only child's parents. Clinkscales' father died in 2007.
His mother died just this year in January. And it was always her hope that he would come home. It was always our hope that we would find him for her before she passed away.
All right, we're switching gears now. Another look at weather before we head into our final break for the hour. This upper level wave that was sitting on top of the Rockies the other day is passing just to the north of the region. As long as it was close enough, it brought in quite a bit of cloud cover late last night and during the early morning hours, but now we're starting to see the cloud cover break apart a bit. And at the surface, we got another quick warm front passing through. Not only will that help us turn mild again today, that's certainly going to keep that southerly breeze in action as we go throughout the course of the day. Here was the cloud cover passing on through during the overnight, maybe in a couple spots, a few random sprinkles, but in general, we stayed pretty dry last night and certainly to get this morning started, and we're looking about as good as can be from the east side of Joplin, the 7th and Range line. 53 right now in Joplin with the south wind at 21, gusting to 31 miles per hour. That is going to take everybody from the upper 40s to about the lower to middle 50s now, and certainly going to send that temperature upward throughout the day. So anyone still trying to scramble to the bus stop, you might need a light jacket as temperatures hover near 53 in general, but you can ditch the jacket by the time you head home. We'll have afternoon highs topping out around 67 degrees with that southwest breeze at 10 to 20. In fact, everybody all across the region will be in the lower 60s by noon, and then pushing highs near 67 all across the board, with partly to mostly sunny skies being the rule of thumb for the afternoon. Going into the overnight, though, we'll see cloud cover back on the increase ahead of our next storm system on the way for Friday. While that does bring us a chance for scattered showers and storms for Friday afternoon, it's going to bring us a mild Friday before we take another tumble for the weekend. We'll break down that part of the forecast when we come back.
To the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. Pfizer says early research indicates that the initial 2 shots of its vaccine appear to be much less effective against the new Omicron variant than previous variants. But the lab report says a booster dose offers significantly more protection. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says nearly all of the several dozen Americans who have tested positive for the variant so far have become only mildly ill. The Senate late yesterday narrowly approved a resolution to nullify the Biden administration's rule that businesses with 100 or more employees have to be vaccinated against COVID-19 or undergo weekly testing. The Democrat-led House is not expected to take up the measure, but the courts have put the mandate on hold for now. Convicted killer Scott Peterson was back in court to receive a new sentence for the murder of his pregnant wife, Lacey. This time, he got life in prison. Peterson was originally sentenced to death 17 years ago, but it was overturned last year. And now let's go over to Nick Kelly for your final look at the weather.
And as I promised Bronte, a quick look at the 7-day has us at 67 tomorrow. But ahead of our next cold front on Friday, we will push highs around 72, but that will also bring a chance for scattered showers and storms during the afternoon. We're going to clear things out and dry things out behind the front for Saturday and Sunday, but it's going to be a chilly rest of the weekend with highs near 50 on Saturday and 57 on Sunday.
All right, thank you. 'Tis the season for good tidings, and what better way to share that than with a Christmas card? Thursday is National Christmas Card Day. The modern Christmas card was created in 1843. It showed a family raising a toast and was meant to encourage people to use the new British postal system. Then, in 1875, a German printer started mass-producing cards, making them affordable. And in the early 20th century, the Hall brothers opened Hallmark, exploding the Christmas card tradition in the U.S. If you haven't sent out a Christmas card yet this year, there's still some time. Grab some paper and markers and write a letter to a loved one.
All right.
I miss homemade letters. I miss doing that.
I know, but everything's digital these days, but it's nice that that tradition still holds. In the meantime, folks, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We'll be back with more news and weather at noon on KOAM. In the meantime, have a great morning and an even better Thursday.